This is a video review of Athlon Alpha from Tobot, and this guy kind of marks a, maybe a changing point in the Tobot toy line, because he's not really like any of the other Tobot figures before him. Like, he doesn't have a little toe key thing to unlock it, and he has a really interesting gimmick that I'll get into a little bit that is very cool, but very strange. Like, I wouldn't have expected Tobot to do this. But anyway, start this off. Here we have the car mode, and it's a really nice car mode that rolls wonderfully. It looks very mean and aggressive while still being, like, not looking like a Decepticon, looking like an Autobot, but like a really mean Autobot, like a Sideswipe from Revenge of the Fallen or something like that. I really like the look at the front of it, and it's a nice, big, hefty car. Rolls really well, and it's just overall just a really nice car with a really nice build quality to it, because it does the same thing that most Tobot figures do, where like the windshields are not painted plastic, they're an extra layer of plastic. So like this is black plastic on red plastic. It does actually have quite a bit more paint than most Tobots do, since usually Tobots avoid having to use paint by using this plastic layering technique. But it's the kind of stuff that you would have to use paint for anyway, so it's not like they're skimping out or anything. Rather, they're doing a lot to make this thing just a really nice figure. Now, if you turn it around, you can kind of see the robot here, and that's because it does have sort of a simple transformation, but it is still a nice transformation that has just enough tactile quality to it to be fun and interesting. And part of the reason why he has to have this transformation at all is because, like, his entire torso up here is involved in a very interesting gimmick. Now, to transform this guy, you're going to pop the arms up like this. You're going to pop the legs down like this. And here's one of the interesting things of the transformation. Now you're going to fold the legs down on this joint right here like this. And then these little red spring-loaded tabs will hold the legs straight like that. And rotate out the heel spurs down here. And then you'll split the legs like this. Now we'll come up here and we'll rotate the arms down like this. You'll rotate the forearms up and then pull the little hands out from here. It's a little bit difficult because there's not much room to get your fingernail in there. There we go. I like to bring the arms back a little bit like that, and then you fold this down like this. Now, the way you're actually supposed to transform it is to fold it up behind his head like this, but I shaved just a little bit out of plastic out of the corner here so it can fold back like this, which I think looks a lot nicer. And I wish the stock figure had been like that too. So anyway, here is Athlon Alpha, and he, like, I don't actually know Speed Racer that well, so I don't know if this is just like some weird association I've made in my mind or what, but this thing kind of reminds me of Speed Racer, just like the pictures I've seen of it before. And so I can dig his aesthetics here, even though he does look a little bit simple, and I do really love the way his legs look, how they're like a mishmash of car parts down the bottom that have unfolded in really a straightforward way, but it doesn't look straightforward if you are looking at it from a glance. It's just a really nice design here. For articulation, you get the arms to rotate around 360 like this on a really nice ratchet. You get a little bit of elbow articulation, but not much. It's kind of just for transformation, but you can use it to get a little bit more expression here. And then you can rotate the arm out on this joint a wee bit. It doesn't do much, but or you don't get like any gradation in the movement, and it's not going to you can't like just move the arm, swing it back like this, because this is on that kind of a strange the outward motions before the forward and back motion kind of hinge that does work, but it's always a little bit strange. You don't get any head articulation here, although it does bob, and I'll show you why in a bit. And then the legs go forward and back, in and out, and bend at the knee like this on some really nice ratchets. And while I do wish he had a little tab like right out here in this space here, so he could have just a solid instep, so that he could have a better balance, because this guy really needs as much balance as he can to make any use of any of his poses, because he doesn't have that much posability. However, you can use the little heel spur down here to kind of give him a better balance, and because his foot is so wide, you can have him lean on the foot. And so, while his balance isn't as good as it should be, and his foot shape is odd, you can actually get him into some decent poses with his legs down here, which is surprising, because in a lot of Tobot figures that have strange foot designs, you couldn't get a walking pose like this. So he does end up working pretty well with posability and balance, just not as quite as well as I would like. Now, for the interesting gimmick that this guy has, and there are two other Athlon Tobots. There's Athlon Beta and Gamma, I think. And I'll be showing those off in a little bit. They all have a gimmick similar to this. What you do is you push down on his head like this, and then his belly compartment comes out. And if you push the belly compartment back, the head comes back. But it's supposed to simulate being offline because when you pull out this little car unit thing, this car unit is supposed to be like his brain or something. So like he's like a gigantic mech in a workshop or something, like a gigantic hangar. And then when it's time to fight the bad guys or something, this thing jumps off a ramp and then it folds up, and then oops, and then his head comes up like this. And so it's an interesting play pattern. I think it's really cool. I think they could have potentially made a lot better transforming car thing if they hadn't sacrificed so much of his body to the gimmick. But I would prefer that if they are going to do a transformation scheme like this, they do use something with the body mass up there. And so it's less of a question of, oh, they ruined the figure for the gimmick, and more of a, well, this overall design ends up with a lot of empty space, so if you're ever going to use this overall design, you might as well use that space. Which is kind of a backwards way of thinking about it from the way most people do it, and it's not really meant to justify the transformation. It's more a way to justify the gimmick if you are going to have the transformation. So it's a little bit backwards, but it's not wrong, it's just weird, and if you don't like the transformation, the gimmick doesn't matter anyway. So anyway, that's been a video review of Tobot Athlon Alpha. I do quite like it, mostly because the build quality is so nice, and because he's just a nice, fun, chunky figure, but I can definitely see why some other people wouldn't like it, so it's a modest recommendation for people who are into stuff like this. So I review Power Rangers, Transformers, Tobots, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.